What's up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. We have also my main man and co-host, Logan Hyder, here today with Cinema 83 LLC. Give it up for him. And we have a wonderful guest here today, Mrs. Sabrina Fisher. Mm-hmm. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's her first time on here. And is this your first podcast?
It is.
Oh, and her first podcast ever. And she's got a pretty amazing story from what I've gathered. I learned something that we have a big similarity on that we'll get to. That's pretty amazing. But Sabrina.
Joe.
Hello.
How is everybody?
How's everybody's morning? This weather sucks.
We don't usually do that, do we? We should do that a little bit more. Just say, how's everybody? That's because we do it for we're usually off camera for 30 minutes having conversations. So
True.
We've already done all that, but how's
I know.
everybody? It's raining.
It always gets a little crazy because I'll have this full on conversation with a guest. And I'm like, shit, we should have just had been
Usually
recording
that's
the whole
me,
time.
right? I'll just stop you. I'll be like, both you stop talking.
Oh yeah.
Just
That's how it goes.
Let me get this set up and then you can continue.
It's insane. But anyways, yeah. So rainy day. It's Friday. It's a good day, and we're in the studio, which is probably my favorite thing right now. I love doing the podcast.
Hell yeah.
And but yeah, tell us about you a little bit. Just say, hey, I'm Sabrina. This is what I do, and then we'll dive into the rest of it.
This is Sabrina, me.
And this is what I do.
This is what I do. No, honestly, me as a person, I'm just super humble. What I do is I help people, regardless of what trait or job that might be doing.
Okay.
So what I do is I provide for people. I'm an outlet for people. I meet people where they're at and get them to where they want to be and need to be.
Nice. And you're also a coach, correct?
I'm a coach, yes.
Yes, for Antonio.
Yes, for AI Fitness.
AI Fitness. And yeah, he was here several episodes ago. I'm sure
Antonio.
if you've been following, a lot of people know who he is now. So that's awesome. Well, let's get started because you got a pretty cool story. You've been through, from what you share with me, you've been through quite a bit. And that's what this is about, learning about individuals and them sharing their stories and opening people's minds and all the beautiful stuff. So let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
Childhood. Where you were raised, who you were raised by, all that stuff. Tell us a little bit about that.
I actually love telling people that part. I used to work in the banking industry in Bellevue, where old money was.
Yeah.
That's what people called it. And these older people would come in, see me working. I was an assistant branch manager, and they'd be like, oh, where'd you go to school? And I'd be like, I graduated from Maplewood. And they were like, really?
Where the hell is Maplewood?
It's in the ghetto? No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm from out east.
Out east.
Yeah, so out east.
Memphis area?
No, in Nashville.
Oh, shit.
I'm born and raised in
East
Nashville.
I was going, okay, East Nashville. Wait, Knoxville's east anyways.
Yeah, I was going to say, you went the wrong
Whoa.
way anyway.
God.
So I love it because when people ask me, I'm like, I'm from out east. And people, the way they want to look at that area and just think,
East Nashville? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the old East Nashville.
Oh, the old East. Yeah.
Not now because
Old East.
Old East. That's why it's
The before the gentrification.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything that was handed to us. We were all humble people, right? But people thought less than of us because of where we were raised. Our parents didn't have a lot of money. The high school I graduated from was ranked in the bottom 5 of all schools across Tennessee.
Damn.
And I didn't go to
Was that
college.
Maplewood?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on how you looked at it. At least it was ranked.
Right.
Yeah, it was on the list.
It wasn't closed down.
So, perspective.
But yeah, so like I said, I'm from out east. I was raised by a single mother. She was a waitress for Waffle House for 30 years.
The Waffle. That's what
The
we're talking about.
best in the world. I love Waffle. I should have worn my shirt.
Yeah, you should have.
Damn it, Waffle House.
It'll be on the mid-read. They'll see it.
God, I love Waffle House. I'm just going to start doing ad reads for Waffle House until they're
for no
like, who the
reason.
hell is this
Yeah.
asshole? And then maybe they'll sponsor it. I don't know. But anyways,
But yeah, raised by a single mom. My dad wasn't in the picture much. They separated before I was born. I had an older brother. He got in a lot of trouble, in and out of recovery residence, jail, stories for days with that. But yeah, I didn't really have much growing up. So what I have now, I do not take for granted.
of course.
And that's why I work as hard as I do to provide a solid foundation for my son.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. So you grew up, like you said, single mother, and I think you said you were the youngest of how many?
I'm the youngest of 8 between my mom and my dad.
That's insane.
The youngest of 8.
And your mom, you said she was a Waffle House waitress? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just, I don't know, it's just perspective. I wonder about that because I'm like, man, like raising all those kids, not a very high paying job. Like, how'd she do it?
Well, she raised 2 at home.
Okay.
And one she did not have custody of.
Okay.
That was her mother took that child and gave the child up for adoption because she had the child when she was underage.
Oof.
Your mother's mother? Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
And then my dad had my other siblings. But again, I wasn't really around them much growing up because I wasn't around my dad much. So.
Do you want to talk about that at all?
No, it doesn't bother me at all to talk about it.
What? Yeah, go ahead.
Just kind of trying to get the perspective.
The whole picture, yeah. I don't know, because, that's what people get on here and do. They share it all,
Yeah, share that
But they don't share anything you don't want to, but that's what it's all about, authenticity and just being open, so.
No, I look at relationships now because I kind of look at how my dad was, but gosh, I should know this, but I don't. My dad's probably in his late 50s maybe, and he's been married to his current wife for 37 years.
Damn.
And he has no kids with her. And I'm his youngest, and I'm 37, so just throw that out there. So he had all these other ones.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So he had 8 kids up to that point and then hasn't had any since then.
He had 6.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah,
Because my mom had the
Right.
Yeah.
So he had 6 up to that point and then
So
had none
he
since
was
then.
really busy.
Wow. And then
That's crazy.
Then he hung it up.
Or turned it off one of the
People do that. There's all kinds but a lot of people can't even have them. That's a problem too. So, man, that's just crazy. I know my mom was the youngest of 7.
Really?
So yeah, and her childhood was nuts. They lived in south of Atlanta, like right by the airport. So it wasn't that bad then, but like now it's like one of the roughest parts of Atlanta. Forest Park, that area, it's pretty rough. But I mean, still though, it's just crazy. I ask her about her childhood all the time, and it's just like she's like, Joe was fucking nuts, like. I don't know.
Yeah, so tell us more about
they were just known
about that time whenever you were on high school there, and just kind of because you said it's not really like that anymore. So
yeah, so
try to paint that picture a little bit.
I mean, and again, it's normal for me because that's where I was raised, and my mom still lives there.
Yeah.
But I remember being on the couch, eating dinner, and my mom sitting there and hearing a noise and looking out, and literally there was a drive-by. They were shooting the house across the street from us.
Jesus.
Like I remember seeing it, and I mean, nobody wants to say that that's normal, but
Kind of what you saw.
yeah. And, my brother that did get in a lot of trouble, he got really bad off on drugs, had kidnapping, attempted murder, holding people hostage.
Like that were his charges and stuff.
Like high-speed chases, but again.
Was that a gang thing? Like, was he involved in?
No, it was just drugs.
Grand Theft Auto, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's crazy as shit.
And it's so crazy because, again, mental health is a huge thing, and people see me now as this just happy person that smiles all the time. But what a lot of people don't know, and what you're uncovering and doing for this podcast, which I love, is showing the journey that somebody goes through to become the person that they are.
Yes.
That's what we're most interested in, I think, is the journey before you get to this point.
So when I was in the 1st and 2nd grade, I was raped by my mom's boyfriend. And that's where my brother caught the attempted murder charge, is because when he found out, he tried to kill the guy.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
I'm sure he's probably pissed he didn't actually kill him.
Yeah,
I know I'd do the same thing.
Yeah.
But even though as a child, though, growing up, you're like, oh my gosh, my brother got in all this trouble because of me.
How old were you?
I was in the 2nd grade.
God, that's heartbreaking.
That's
heartbreaking. You know what the terrible thing is? It's such a common thing. Mm-hmm. People just don't know it.
Yeah.
They don't really think about it, but like it really, I mean, I don't know how many people do you interact with on a daily basis that have been through something similar,
Right.
As that, and that's just kind of crazy to think about. And I mean, yeah, your brother wanting to kill, like trying to kill the guy, you're extremely justified. Maybe the drug stuff, not so much, but if someone did that to my little sister, I'd definitely try to kill him.
So he found out about it though. So it wasn't something that would like. What did he find? Well, how quickly did he know about it to have attempted that?
again, I was young, so I don't know all the details, but I remember being in elementary school and, they pull out this big rolling cart with this big box TV on it. And it was watching a video. And like, if this ever happens to you, you tell somebody and this, and this. And after that went off, I told the teacher because before that, it had never been talked about. And because the guy had threatened to like kill my mom if I ever said anything and this, and this. And after that, everything was really a blur for me as a kid anyways, because, what was it? It's just like, I remember leaving school one day and my best friend at the time, her mom picked me up and said, you have to come with us. You're going to stay with us. And
this was after you had told?
It was a time frame after it. I don't remember exactly when, and the next day was picture day at school. I'll never forget because my hair has this big poofy thing, like nothing I would have worn, but it was because my mom and brother were in jail because my brother ended up being on a high-speed chase. My mom got in a car she says that she was trying to hit him, like to ram his car to stop him. Yeah. And she ended up hitting a police officer.
Oh, fuck.
So at all this time, like I'm sitting at my friend's house, like not knowing what's going on. But
that's crazy.
You were at your friend's house because of the other situation. And then while you were there, those other two things happened is what you're saying with your brother and your mom?
Well, my mom found out, and again, I don't know the timeline of everything because I was so young, but somewhere in between my brother finding out, he was already on drugs and everything. And all this happened. And then I just know that when I was at her house, they were both in jail over the high-speed chase.
That's nuts.
And they actually ended up not even catching him until he got across Kentucky borders, and it's because he rammed his car into a brick wall trying to kill himself.
Oh, fuck.
Man. So you just we're going through it.
I was.
At a young age.
Yeah.
And, we're going to talk more about it, but seeing who you are now and like how you present yourself and like how, through social media, how positive you are. And like, you seem to be like a good mentor to especially a lot of women around you. I know you work more so with them. And, I think it's beautiful. Like it's so cool because it, like I said, it reminds me of my mother. Mm-hmm. She saw everything going on around her and it was is absolutely terrible. But she's the most amazing mother in the fucking world. She's just so loving and so amazing. Like I can't talk, I don't know. She's like a best friend, and I praise her. But anyways,
to have been able to go through that and then be
that she was able to like go through that and become who she was. And it's just a perfect example though. A lot of people think, oh, it's because I've been through this. This is why I am who I am. And I'm like, well, you can make the decision. You have the control of that. All it takes is a decision.
That's a good point. I always say I have the choice. I can either use it as a crutch or fuel.
Yeah. Do you want to be a product of your environment or not?
That's 100%.
I like always be a crutch or fuel. I like that. Yeah.
I like that too. Yeah. And it's cool too because like we were saying that I like that. You think that people like look at you now and wouldn't know, right? And so like there's to some degree that's good, right? Because you've worked past it and you've used it as fuel and you've gotten to a certain point in your life. But it is good to, have a format like this to be able to say, but because people think that people, like I mentioned it, I've talked about it with you before, even people just look at you and you're just like a big dude all the time. They're like, ain't no way he's going through shit. Like look at this big old fucking strong dude. And it's like, you don't know what anybody's going through in the lifetime. So those people have gone through some of the worst things. Yep. So it's really cool that you're sharing that. We were like, hey, so tell us about this. And she was like, boom, boom, boom. It's like, oh, alrighty, well, we're there now.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because, like we all go through shit. We all do. I remember talking to somebody yesterday at a little meeting and they were like, like beginning of the year, RP just seemed like it was like in a weird place. Like you were kind of going crazy. And I'm like, I was. Like my whole world flipped upside down. I was depressed. I was going through some really hard shit. Like, God forbid I'm human and things seem a little different. We're back on track. But right there, I was just trying to fucking figure myself out for a little bit. Like, like I can't do it all, and
so you were going through all that during that time. Can you kind of go back to how were you able to kind of push through that and where did you go from there?
Well, after that, gosh, it's so crazy because when I look back at what I've been through in my life, I always find the light in the darkest. Like I've always been a happy person regardless of what happens to me. But, I was an overweight kid too. So I'm I know I had a surgery, like I had my tonsils taken out, but I'm sure that now that I look back as an adult and knowing how things affect you mentally, I'm sure that that whole scenario had something to do with it. Like, again, I was a very overweight child. But I had to grow up at a very young age, like going through all the things with my brother, things that happened to me, being raised by a single mom, seeing her struggle.
Yeah.
Because, the only thing I got growing up, for the most part, like clothes came from Goodwill.
Yeah.
And my mom couldn't even afford that sometimes. That's why now you'll never really see me selling anything. And if people are trying to give things away, I'm like, give it to me, because I'm part of like a giving society in Smyrna for Rutherford County.
That's cool.
That just gives things to people. You can't sell the things. You can only get X amount of items a week.
I like that.
But I don't know. People just, again, they see the final product of a person and the smile on their face, or what social media can portray you to be.
Of course.
And they think, oh, her life's been perfect. She's been fit her whole life. She's had it handed to her on a silver spoon. No, I didn't have any of that. And that's why I try to have vulnerability and transparency through my social media sometimes, just so that they see, like, at the end of the day, I'm human.
Yeah. People don't know your past. They don't know what you've been through. And like, it's interesting because, like, I can relate to that. And like on the opposite end of the spectrum, like I had a really good upbringing and stuff. I was very fortunate with my childhood. And then as I got older, I just made a lot of bad decisions and I just had to suffer on my own. But I also like embrace that. Like, I don't know, like the suffering times like make you better if you embrace it. And, but oh man, you just had it easy. You had it easy your whole life. And I'm like, do you know the other shit? Like you just see, like I have good parents. Like I'm grateful for that. I've never told anybody they suck because they had bad parents or a bad upbringing. Like I just am super grateful for that. I was blessed with that. And like, I want to be good parents to my kids one day too. But they don't know the other shit that goes in your life. And that's when we go back to like, everybody has had their fucking problems and experiences, but like a lot of people just see maybe your social media or like see how your relationship with your parents are. And they're like, oh, they've been good this whole time. Like they haven't had any issues, but people just misjudge all the time. And that's what I love about this though, is just like people may think that of you or me or anybody else that they've seen on this podcast, but then the people open up and they're like, holy shit, like that's a fucking crazy journey that person was on, like they went through some shit, but it's really cool. So now we're just getting the truth out.
Yeah. So when you mentioned that you were overweight and that kind of thing, so from a fitness perspective, you said that like people assume that maybe you were always fit type thing. So was that something, did you deal with like bullying because of your weight and that kind of thing at school?
Believe it or not, I didn't. And I was the minority growing up. But again, most of the people I went to school with, I had been to school with them my whole life.
So they were cool. Mm-hmm. Nice.
I've never dealt with that. I started losing weight when I got in middle school because I got into a sport.
What'd you play?
What was your sport?
Volleyball.
Hey.
And cheerleading. I tried cheerleading. It wasn't for me. We've talked about that. I was not a girly girl.
Yeah, you were saying earlier. Yeah.
I did it for one season. But then when I went into high school, I actually became bulimic.
Oof.
Because, it
kind of went the other way.
Like, I was so concerned with being overweight and I didn't want to be fat again and I wasn't doing any sports. And then my brother got out of jail at that time and then he got in more trouble. So there was all that. Like, he had an underage girlfriend and technically kidnapped her because her parents...
Good Lord.
I know. And then when they got back, because he took her to like Gatlinburg, but that was technically kidnapping because her parents didn't allow it. But when they got back, the parents cut off the relationship, and he held the girl's grandparents hostage for like 12 hours.
Jesus fuck.
Yeah, because
and you are in middle school, like seeing all this unfold.
Well, this was in high school. This one was in the ninth grade. So again, there was just all this stuff again, like SWAT team. They shot him out of the house, and somehow or another he didn't die.
Yeah.
That's just crazy as shit.
So
damn. So you went through it. Well. And so going through were you bulimic in high school, you said?
I was in my freshman year.
Okay. And then going through there, like, I think you said you had mentioned to me that you were kicked out of your house at some point. Like,
I was. So the day I graduated, I got kicked out of my house.
Mom was just like, peace?
Well, she didn't agree with, so I have a mixed son.
Okay.
And I was the minority where I was raised. But the way my mother was raised and my father, because they're older, was, it was still very segregated.
Of course.
And they didn't agree with that. But I was like, I'm a product of my environment, right? Like, this is...
Well, they lived there with you, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like,
and they're best friends.
right. That's what I'm saying. It's like they had to have been
It
immersed.
didn't make any sense.
Wow.
So they found out I had a boyfriend, and they kicked me out.
You know, it's crazy, and it's very interesting because it connects with some stuff in my family's life. I just think it.
We still haven't put that episode out, but we mention it all the time.
Yeah, I love connecting the dots though. But like my cousin Stephanie, she's awesome as hell, and she went through pretty rough too. Like my mom's they all did, but it was my mom's oldest brother, his daughter, and so she's my cousin, but she's she's probably got 15 years on me or whatever, and so she's just been through a lot more. And they moved to DC at some point, in her childhood, and same thing. She had a mixed kid, and my cousin Anthony, who's fucking awesome, like when she was young, and like she got kicked out after that as well, and it was just really hard
so
for her.
wild.
A very similar situation, like crazy ass childhood, and then
It's just crazy that you would like believe in that. I mean, it's crazy you would believe in that, but it's so crazy. It's crazier. I feel like that you would believe in it to such a degree that you discommunicate or miscommunicate. What am I trying to say? Disconnect. Well, I'm saying like whenever you get kicked out of the church, I don't fucking know.
Excommunicated.
Excommunicated. You get excommunicated from.
I was excommunicated. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you probably,
Well, and here's the thing is I didn't have my son until I was married, but after I got kicked out of the house, I started.
was just for dating.
That was just for dating, not a kid.
Oh, shit.
That was just for dating.
Okay.
That's wild. That's like a.
And it's the thing though. You were like you're the minority there, so it's just like, well, come on.
Well, like,
Yeah.
yeah, statistically, what am I supposed to do? But,
Yeah, but it's just I don't know. It's just
And
crazy.
I don't see people for color.
well,
I don't
yeah, I
see
mean,
them.
that's not the
And
main
again,
issue. Yeah.
I've talked to people before. Like they were like, "What is your ideal body?" And I'm like, I don't look at that because I was the child that was looked at differently because I was overweight. I was like, I really don't look at people for their looks or their color or anything. It's what's inside because in 40 or 50 years, everything on the outside is going to change.
It's like you're talking about your kid's manners. You can meet some stud. He's like handsome. He seems like he's got all the money, and then he treats you like the complete opposite of how your kid is, and you're like probably like, no, this is a huge turn off. Like, but that makes sense,
Right.
Like your 7-year-old has more character than.
Yep.
Character overall.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sucks, and we interrupted as we usually do. So you were talking about you got kicked out because of that.
Yeah. So it got to a point after a couple of years that I told my parents because, again, my dad at one point was like, well, it's okay that you do it. Just don't bring it around me. I was like, I eventually got to a point where I was like, it's part of who I am.
Yeah.
These are my relationships. If you can't accept me for me as a whole, then you can't have me for the part of me you want.
Why can't you just want me to be happy?
Mm-hmm. So for a while, I actually disconnected completely from my parents. I removed myself. I said, if you can't accept me as a whole, then you can't have me as a half.
Yeah.
So they came around and they love their grandson now.
So now you got to. How's your relationship with your parents now? And you're maybe better.
I don't have a relationship with them.
Okay.
And that was by my choice because, again, we're uncovering a little bit of my childhood.
Yeah.
But my upbringing, there was a lot of toxicity in it.
Yeah.
And I know I can't protect my son from everything.
Yeah.
And trust me, I let him learn things the hard way. But there's certain things I won't dangle him in front of.
Yeah.
Just to see if they'll respond right or if they'll do something.
Why
it's
even
just
do it? Yeah.
You don't want them around like the toxicity and stuff because it's obviously still there a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't have a relationship with my father just because he and I have some things that, it is what it is, but I'm not going to prevent my son from having a relationship with him.
Of course.
So I'm still the bigger person at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Then I won't.
Has it been that way since you were kicked out?
No. It's been a roller coaster, a fucking roller coaster my whole life of things. But the brother that got locked up, I ended my relationship with him a long time ago because I'm terrified of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if we want to be completely honest, if you ever ask me anything I'm afraid of, it'll be one, failing my son as a mother, which is the biggest fear because I know how it feels to not have,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I'm terrified of that brother because I know what he's capable of.
Yeah.
And all that happened when I was really young and he was on a lot of drugs, and kind of like threw me down a flight of stairs and was just very mean. And I'm not saying that he's that way now, but he's like the monster under the bed to me. Like I'm terrified of him.
That's
and
crazy.
my dad, which is not his father, was like helping him when he got out of jail and everything. And I'm like,
It's like, yo,
sir, who's Who's your kid?
Don't enable him.
It reminds me a lot of my cousins, like my whole group of cousins that I love them to death, but there's a couple of them that are just...
Yeah. Well,
and that's why I don't have the relationship with my mom. It's because she still to this day enables him.
And it does
and
become...
that doesn't help.
It becomes to that point where you're like, look, I've done, like, this person has done X, Y, and Z to me whenever I've tried to help them, and the fact that you're continuing to support them is a slap in my face.
Yeah.
It does get to that point for sure.
And again, it's on them, and that's fine. It's just I'm not going to dangle my son to possibly have any bit of the childhood that I did.
I mean, that's completely understandable. Yeah, I respect the hell out of that. Yeah, and to bring it back, I was telling him about an uncle I have. My mom was like, you should get him on the podcast because, like, she was like, he was just the most violent man growing up. Like, always something, like some pretty I'm gonna get him on here and like let the stories be told then because it's wild, but he's in his upper 60s now. He's probably like pushing 70. I don't know, Uncle Terry, we'll figure it out. But
I don't think you did tell me about this. I don't know what you're talking about.
I will touch back on it, but he's got, I mean, my mom was like, Joe, he was like so violent and crazy and there was drugs and
it's your mom's brother.
Yeah, and now he's just like so chill. Like he was in a relationship with this girl and like a lot younger than him and like raised her kids. She ended up cheating on him. He was just like, hey, I mean, like old Uncle Terry probably would have like killed somebody, but like he's just like, man, like why am I gonna be mad, And it's just crazy, like this transformation from this man that you wouldn't expect to change. Mm-hmm. And now, like, yeah, it took him a long time, but now he's sober and he's like completely re-geared his mentality and his positivity, and he's not this violent, angry person anymore. I'm sure if you pushed him there, like he could probably go back to some old ways, but it's pretty interesting. I don't know. I think it'd be a pretty interesting person to talk to just about like transformation, but I don't know. Like it's just crazy because there's so many similarities there when you're talking about. I'm like, shit, it sounds like my mom's childhood. It's crazy.
So you said you don't have a relationship with your dad, but one thing that you said caught my eye I'm interested in is when we did do that episode that we still haven't released, the differences episode. And
yes.
Charles and his wife were talking. They're an interracial couple, and they were talking about how her family didn't really support it. But
Charles and Dakota Rucker? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
that'll be a good episode.
Real quick ad read for you guys. First up, we got Sabrina Fisher. Let us know what you do.
Hi there. I'm an online fitness coach. You can find me on Instagram, on TikTok at MissWhoa15, and that's MissWhoa15. And that is on Instagram or TikTok, and on Facebook at Sabrina Fisher, Fisher.
Thank you very much. Hell yeah. That's perfect. This episode is also brought to you by Jan Adams with Benchmark Realty. She's my wonderful mother, and she has 30 years experience in the real estate industry, and it allows her to fulfill her dream of service to others, and it brings her joy to do so by helping them sell their houses and helping people find their homes. Nashville real estate, according to her, is still in high demand. Inventory is needed, and it is a good time to sell. This area is also one of the top areas for relocation in the country. Don't fall in the trap of renting America. That's what investors want you to do. Buy your own home, own your own home. It's going to benefit you in the long run, and you'll be much happier doing so other than forking out money to somebody else. So check out Jan. Call or text her at 615-969-5577 or email her at jansellstnhomes@gmail.com. Thank you. So childhood was crazy. Mm-hmm. Got kicked out of your house for reasons said. Then moving forward, you were working a couple jobs for quite some time. Tell us about that little journey, because you had your kid at the time as well, right? Why?
No, I didn't have my child until I was 30.
Okay, so that was 2000.
We skipped basically from where she went. We were talking about her getting kicked out, and then we never really picked back up chronologically from there.
Oh, shit.
So that's where we can pick back up. So you talked about that whenever you were leaving high school. That happened, right? After you graduated?
Yeah.
Thanks,
so
Logan.
wherever you want to take you from there.
Yeah, so I went and lived with a friend and her mom, the friend that I stayed there when my mom and brother were in jail.
Okay.
Same one.
Yeah.
He's a good friend.
And then my dad kind of blackmailed me and said, if you don't come live with me, you don't have a father anymore. So
sweet guy, that one.
I know, that's so sweet. So I went and lived with him, and after a while realized that I couldn't live with him.
Yeah.
And I got out on my own. And it was one of these apartments to where it had a couch and a bed and barely any food in the house. But like I said, I worked 2 jobs. I would be working a day job somewhere and a waitress at night, and just did everything I could.
So did you sleep at all?
I mean, I was young.
Did you sleep
I didn't need sleep.
At that time? No. You just kept going.
And I still enjoyed life.
You were just running off that fuel from like
I did.
the childhood
I'd
stuff.
still go out to clubs and after hours clubs, and I would still do it all.
Damn. And like without any like, I don't know, did you ever, because you saw, it said you saw that and there was like drugs involved. Did you ever have any issues with any of that kind of stuff or? No?
I maybe made some money off of it, but I never did it myself.
See, that's the smart version. That's the smart side.
So, but yeah. And then what was it? I was probably 21, 22 years old. It was Valentine's Day, and I've always been single on Valentine's Day. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go buy myself something. And I was driving. I'll never forget. I was driving down Thompson Lane, and I looked over, and there was American Motorsports. It was I was like, oh, let me just go in there and look. And there was a motorcycle, and it was red and black. And I love the colors red and black.
Yeah.
I love black.
Yeah.
And the red made it pop. And there was a motorcycle there, and I was like, oh, I like it. I was like, I'm going to buy myself that.
What kind of motorcycle was it?
It was like I call it the short bus of bikes because it was, again, I didn't know anything about them, but it was a Kawasaki.
Nice.
A little 650R. And here's the best part is I went to buy it, and I said, I'll buy it, but y'all have to get it to my house because I don't even know how to turn it on. I just wanted a motorcycle.
They were like, are you sure you want this?
But I bought it, and I started riding.
I tell you what, when I bought my first bike, I bought it when I was deployed, and I had ordered it while I was deployed. And so when I got back, I didn't know how to ride. Like I was just like, because my mom and my uncles like just wrecked their shit over and over again. And so my buddy, we pulled a trailer up to Tallahassee from Panama City and like trailered it back because I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was like, I'm not getting on this brand new Harley I bought. Like, I don't even know what to do. So, and then I had taken it to like get my, I had to do the class and get the permit and all that shit in the military. But yeah, and I just started riding. I think that a week later, I rode from like Panama City to Atlanta to visit some family. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's going to be the best way to learn. Just get out there on the freaking road and see what happens. And it was great. And I just fell in love,
Yep.
But yeah, that's the best way to do it. Just go for it.
Yep. I was like, I like it. It's pretty. I want it.
And that's what you decided to do on Valentine's.
That's what I did. That's
freaking awesome. Hell yeah. So, and when was that?
I was 21. So it was like 16 years ago.
I'm trying to think. So, because there's a date we're going to get to, 2010. Yeah. How far before that was
it? It was before that. A while before that. I had another wreck. My first motorcycle wreck, which it was okay because I prepared myself. Again, I'm a big mental person. Mm-hmm. I always have this thing. If you prepare yourself mentally for something, when it physically happens, it's easier to process.
Yeah.
And somebody told me when I first started riding, there's two types of riders, the types that have been down and the type that will go down.
Yeah.
So after my first wreck, I was leaving Union Hill, some races, and I'm a speeder.
Yeah.
I love speed. I love to go fast. And I went into like an S-curve ramp coming off 65 going on to Ellington Parkway. And my back tire hit and it went out from under me. And I hindsighted and I pretty much tackled the wall. And this car, of course, of like old people came up, one that I'd passed racing, but they're like trying to get me up. And I'm like, wait, pick my bike up. Is it okay? And they're like, ma'am, are you okay? Like my whole ass is out because like I skidded across the concrete, right? And
you get some road rash?
Oh yeah. I took every layer of skin off my lower back.
Oof. No good.
But they're like, are you okay? I'm like, but is the bike okay? Because I still owe on that. Like I'm alive. I'm breathing.
Yeah, my body will make it.
But that's going to cost money.
So yeah, that was my first motorcycle wreck.
Damn. See, it's crazy. I don't think I ever, before my big one, I never went down, I don't think. Mm-hmm. I had some close calls, but I always like expected it, Mm-hmm. But I was like, fuck, not to that degree. But I'm sure like you were after your wreck, you're like, all right, I'm good. I had my wreck.
I had it.
All right, it's out of the way.
Okay.
Yeah, riding's crazy. So, so you got your bike. Did you just ride everywhere once you had it? You just were hooked?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was the same way.
I loved it. And then I love riding. And I like to go fast. So, of course, I'm getting out there with the boys. And they're like, oh, there's this dainty little girl. And then they're like, meow. And they're like, what was that? They're like, it's the fucking girl. What happened?
You're like, speed the hell up, bitches.
Yeah.
It's funny, too, though. Like, fortunately, when I had my accident, like, I was just cruising. But I usually, even on a Harley, I usually rode pretty freaking hard. Like, I was full throttle everywhere for the most part. Because I like the speed. I love Harleys. I'm always a Harley guy, but yeah, something about just going fast and just, I don't know, just made it more fun.
Vision.
I want
It's
the rush, you know what I'm saying?
Everything else is gone.
Yeah, I got on a cross rocket once and my buddy had, and it was up in Hermitage and it was extended and stuff and he had done some stuff to it. So it went really fast and I was like, yeah, let me take it up the road. And I got on Lebanon Road up in Hermitage and I was just like, bop, bop, bop. And like, just like that, I looked at the speedometer, I'm going 120, like on just a road, not on the interstate.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then I slowed down, I turned around, went back. I was like, bro, this is exactly why I don't have one of these.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do that all the time.
Yeah. I think the fastest I ever went was 195.
That's insane. See, my Harley couldn't get up that. Like, I'd go as fast as I could on my Harley, but like it wouldn't go that. But if I had a cross rocket though, I'd be wanting to do that shit all the time.
Yeah, and that's why I don't ride much anymore because I don't have another life that
Yeah.
I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
I'm an adrenaline junkie. Like, I love skydiving, like just all the adrenaline.
Skydiving is shit. Like, that's the goal. Next year, I'm getting certified. I want to get my license for it. And then, I'm the same way. Adrenaline, like skydiving. I'm not riding anymore, but I got into like bare knuckle boxing because that's a good rush.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, I'll take the regular boxing. Is what I do.
Well, it's just
I
like
don't know why he does that shit.
I got rid of ride because it's just that extra layer of like, but it is that extra layer
It's
of
not like
thrill.
it's not like you can't be severely injured or die doing regular boxing. You might as well just take the gloves off.
I mean,
Exactly. It's fun.
go big or go home.
Exactly.
My thing about doing that is that like whenever you box, they put Vaseline on your face and stuff like that. And one of the big issues or potential issues in boxing why they do that is because you can get elbowed, right? And
Or cutting.
if you get elbowed, you get cut, and if you get cut, the fight's over because you fuck your face up getting cuts. You can't they end the fight.
That does help. They do that. We do that with bare knuckle too.
But what I'm saying is that you're naturally going to lacerate your face by doing bare knuckle. Like, you're just going to get cuts, and then it's like
I haven't yet.
I only have one face. I just want to keep it as clean.
yeah.
and
I think it
not
adds
cut as I
character.
can.
Like if I get one, like a split, it's like, oh Joe, like what is that? I'm like,
I guess my point is that your initial shot, just because you don't have anything on your hands, could deliver a cut that would normally end a regular boxing fight. You know what I mean? Which is nuts.
Look, and Joe's excited about
Yeah,
it.
I'm like,
Yes.
well, I was just like, I'm not riding anymore, and it's like I got to find my risks
No, I hear you.
elsewhere. I got to
I
I got to fulfill that feeling, however I can in other outlets. So, anyways, we're gonna get to that. So you had your bike.
so she had the first accident.
Yeah, she had the first accident.
And how did that ultimately work out? Were you okay? Was the bike okay? Like, how was?
I mean, I broke my shoulder blade. My bike, I had to have some repairs done to it.
Not totally catastrophic though overall.
No.
Gotcha.
That's good.
So-
Because a lot of times it is. But a lot of people go down and it's just like kind of like, oh, I got a little fucked up. I'm good to go.
Well, some people, once they go down, they never get back on a bike.
Yeah.
They're like, oh no. I'm like, no, put me back on. Put me back in, coach. Put me back in.
See, you got you. I know you aren't really close to your parents, but like I said, I'm very close to mine and my sister as well. And my big thing was afterward was like, I almost bought another bike and I was going to get a big street glide. Like I was going to get like a $40,000 street glide, or a road glide actually, loaded up with the speakers and just like something I could take on long ass trips. Even though I did that with my Fat Boy, but I was going to go all out. And I slept on it one day and then I was like, nope. But my thing is just seeing what that did to my mom and stuff. Like, I don't know if I got another bike, like that would constantly play in their head and just like torment them a little bit. And they're like, what, is Joe good? And so I just don't think I could do that. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go do all this other crazy shit. I haven't got, almost died doing that. So I think that works. And honestly, just the desire's not there. It's not that I won't ride. I've hopped on some friends' motorcycles and it's like, I never skipped a beat, and I like that, but that's.
I do that too.
Yeah. But so back in 2010, August 8th,
2010.
tell us about that day.
So it was so crazy because some friends and I, we were at TGI Fridays on West End, and my car was just down the road at the Exxon on Broadway, and we had left, and like 2 blocks down from TGI Fridays. Let me rewind. I remember standing on the sidewalk in front of TGI Fridays and putting my helmet on and telling my friends I would see them in a minute when we got back to my car. And that's the last thing I remember until like a whole month later.
Damn.
Because
So like from that till a month later, like it's completely
From leaving. You said like when you left, is the last thing you remember?
Like I remember, like I can visually, like I remember like pulling it down and going, "See you in a minute," and that's the last thing I remember.
Damn. So well, I guess you're going to get into this, but was it like a long time after that until you got into?
No, so it was like 2 blocks down the road. So
still crazy that you don't remember before either.
Well, how old were you at the time? Because you didn't have your kid yet, correct? So you were like obviously in like your 20s. I don't know. I'm trying to do the math. I'm just trying to like put piece it all together.
I keep hearing Antonio go quick math, because that's what he always says. I'm like, I'm not a quick math.
I'm
person.
good at that.
I'm a calculator generation.
I'm good at that when they're like, I put plates on the bar. That's about it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, give me my calculator. Like,
right.
Yeah, quick math ain't my thing ever.
So, it was like I said, it was 2010. So 12 years ago. Right.
Okay.
10 years ago.
Okay.
So I was 27.
Cool. 27.
Or no, 12 years ago. 25. I was 25.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
Math. But yeah, we were, from what I've been told, because it's easy for me to talk about because it's all a story to me because I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
But I was on the back of a friend's motorcycle, which I usually ride.
Oh, like so you weren't riding when it happened?
No, I was on the back because, again, we were all...
So you put the helmet on, okay.
So we were all down at another location, and we were all going to go get something to eat, but we knew where we were going didn't have a lot of parking because it was like a Friday night or a Saturday night downtown.
Oh, so...
And they're like, Sabrina, just hop on the back of the bike. We'll bring you back to your car. And I never ride on the back with other people. And then that night I did, and they said that we were coming up to a red light, or not like the red light wasn't red for us, but we were driving down the road and another car coming from the other direction ran the red light and we T-boned it. And they said that.
So they were coming. Oh, fuck. I'm trying to just think.
So like if I'm going down the road, this car was in this turning lane and it turned this way.
Okay. So it cut y'all off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they said that the bike hit and it catapulted, like it threw me, and they said it threw me 50 feet in the air and I landed directly on my head. I had on high heels, shorts, and a t-shirt. And there's one scar on my foot because it literally cracked the helmet and my head open.
See, I landed the opposite direction. I landed like feet first.
I took 2 massive blows to the brain.
Yeah.
And they said that the impact, they believe what happened is that my head hit the person who was driving the bike, that it hit the back of his helmet and it knocked me out.
Oh, okay.
Because they said that the way I landed, that it should have broke my neck. You
were so relaxed from not being conscious.
Mm-hmm. Because I landed directly on my head. So bad that they put a white sheet over me.
Oh my God.
Because they couldn't move me because I was that critical. Like they were having to wait for everything. Damn. So I remember, again, I still to this day hear stories and feedback around that time that I never knew. But a friend had driven by the scene to do something, and they said that they remember seeing a body being under the white sheet, thinking, "Oh my gosh!" And then the next day, it like broke them because they didn't know it was me underneath underneath the sheet,
wild.
That's crazy.
Or whatever that they covered me with, because they were trying to cover my body so people wouldn't see.
Yeah.
And then
because you were obviously pretty jacked up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
but you said they did that because they couldn't move you?
I don't know.
So did they think you were dead or?
No, they said I died at the scene.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And
that's wild.
But I don't know. There's like a level of severity with injuries, but whatever it is, I was like the very top. So they had to be careful on how to move me because, like I said, they thought that my neck was broken.
Yeah.
Like they was like, there was no way your neck wasn't broken. And
fortunately, you're downtown, so you're close to the hospital and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's super crazy because, there's like a motorcycle community Facebook page called Nashville Area Motorcycle Riders.
Yeah.
Of course, I was in there. A lot of people were talking. A couple months down the road, an individual messaged me. And they're like, "Oh my God, you're her." I'm like, "I'm a her? What are you talking about?" They're like, I was the firefighter that was in your ambulance that night." So I was like, "Oh, will you meet me? That's like, crazy. I want to hear her stories." And he said that I had woken up in the ambulance, and I was so like out of it that I was trying to get out. That he had to like
you're almost like, where the hell am I?
Like hog tie me down. Like he said he had to physically use his whole body to keep me down because I wouldn't stop.
That's crazy.
I don't remember any of it. So when we get to the hospital, they had to put me in a medically induced coma because I had so much brain injury. And then, so I was in a coma for a couple of days, and my family's there, friends are there. They had told my primary doctor that they were waiting on me, that there was so much damage that there was nothing that they could do, and that they were just waiting on me.
To see. Mm-hmm. Damn. Because that's your brain. There's only so much they can do there.
Yep.
Like, it's just kind of got to do it. I don't know, figure itself out.
Yeah.
You know, that's wild.
And they told my family, they're like, she'll never be a banker again. And she may never walk or live alone on her own. They told them that. And
look at you now.
I know.
Yeah. I don't even want a bank. So how about that?
Yeah.
The best part is, so I was in the hospital because I had to go into rehabilitation, Stallworth, for a while after I did get out of the hospital, because I had to relearn how to walk. I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
And brain memory and all this stuff. And after I got discharged from the hospital, I had to be under 24-hour supervision for like 30 days. And then a month after that, I went back to work. 3 months after I went back to work, I got a promotion to an assistant branch manager.
Look at you.
Hey.
Superstar.
My dad said, you only did that because they told you couldn't. I said, don't ever tell me what I can and can't do because I'll prove you wrong.
I'm telling you, I'm the same. What's your sign? What are you? When's your birthday?
He does
I'm
this.
a Gemini.
Okay. I do this with everybody.
Once an episode at this point.
Yeah, I know. I'm an Aries, so I'm just very much the same way. But I'm
a Libra. Does that match?
No, dude, Libras are just like
that doesn't.
We don't even talk about. I don't even know talk to Libras anymore. I'm just messing with you, dude. I don't know it that well. I'll get Jesse in here. That motherfucker started talking about astrology like nuts, but I know like my stuff pretty well. But yeah, I don't know. It's something about I talk about it. I'm trying to come up with a shirt idea that has like something to do with like a chip on the shoulder. Mm-hmm. You know, because my buddy and I are talking about it. And what's interesting, I think I talked about this before, but the reason that's actually a thing, like back in the day, if you put people would actually put like a wood chip on someone's shoulder, and that was their way of challenging them to a fight, which is pretty cool. But it's just like when people tell me I can't do anything, or like I don't know, they got anything negative to say, I just I just picture myself stacking that chip up. It's like, watch, bitch, I don't know. And it's something like, I don't know. So it feels good to prove people wrong.
I mean, the person I am today, it's solely built off, if I look back on it, is showing the odds that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Like every bit of it, like from where I'm from, the things I went through, having a back surgery, you'll never do this, you'll never do that.
Oh,
Watch me.
Yeah. I had someone tell me years ago, like, hey, I got hand tattoos. They're like, you're ruining your chances of succeeding in business forever. I'm like, well, okay. Got my own now, and it's just kind of nice. It's like, you think about those little things, like it's so insignificant, but it's like that fuel thing, that just stacks up, and it's just like little wood chips you throw in there. But no, that's pretty wild. So you went and you got your promotion and all that stuff. Like anything else about the wreck that's pretty significant? It's just crazy to hear your story because like it's all a blur. Like me, I remember everything pretty vividly, be honest. Like I remember seeing the car. I remember saying, fuck, in my head. And then I remember next thing you know, I'm in a field. I looked at my femur sticking out of my leg, and I was like, okay. And I remember all of it. Obviously, it was just pretty chaotic. And, even hearing different perspectives, like I went back and talked to the SRO officer from the school that ran over. And, once I could start walking again, I went over to that elementary school and talked to him. And that was pretty emotional because if it wasn't for the calls he made, like I'd be dead, because he knew my chest was soft because my lungs were collapsing. But like I had I was bleeding into that, and my aorta was. So, but just hearing his perspective of everything that went on is pretty wild. So I'm sure if you get anybody that comes around that's like, hey, this is what I saw, or like, this is what I remember from your accident, it's probably like, holy shit.
Yeah, apparently there was something sticking out of my foot, and I still don't know to this day what it was. But I mean, I have a scar on it. But but I also was able to speak with the officer that worked my accident because the person who caused it was a hit and run. And they ended up catching her. And
that's good.
Yeah, he said that he was supposed to get off, but the girl and the boys ran on foot after like ditching the car because they couldn't drive it.
They didn't find them?
Well, the girl called in saying that her car was stolen like the next morning, and the officer was still on, and he said, no, I'm going. And they got there, and her story was that she left her cell phone in her car charging with it like just on to charge her phone. and somebody stole her car. And he was like, oh, okay. So he intentionally let her say this whole story, of what her accounts of it, and let her sign it, the police report. And because like a hit and run is not a felony, it's just a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
But he said the minute that she signed that police report, she then created herself a felony.
Oof.
And he said that then he asked her, okay, well, what about this? And he said that she finally broke down. But he said he did the police report on purpose because he knew at that point we didn't know if I was going to live or not.
Yeah.
And he knew that it was just a
like
misdemeanor.
Yeah. So
But he was
if she
like-
dies, you need to be.
He did. Like, he was very passionate about it. So I'm so grateful for that officer.
Hell yeah.
That's pretty wild. That is pretty cool. I mean, like he definitely looked out for you. Mm-hmm. I know the first officer I ran into, like in ICU, I'll be honest, like they definitely like judged me based off of like the appearance. Cause like, I'm like an all black on a Harley with all blacked out Harley with apes. I got like, I listen to metal and I have my beliefs and stuff. So I have like really dark symbolism and shit all over my vest. Like they were like, dude, this guy's, And yeah, he tried to say like my bike was stolen and all this stuff. Like we looked at the title and we looked you up and like this bike seems to be stolen. Like just kind of just came at me like everything was my fault.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I remember looking at the light. I remember seeing green and I guess like
why did they say your bike was stolen though?
I don't know. So it didn't show up. But the funny thing about it is when I was in ICU, I had the title on me and I handed it to him. I was like, oh yeah, the one that's paid off.
So
and he was like,
it was just a mistake on the computer type.
Oh
thing?
yeah, and it's crazy. His whole demeanor changed after he got to talking to me for a minute and like learning about me. And
this is when you woke up from your crash.
This was like I was in like the top level ICU, like where it's like that's where they fucking bring people off the helicopter in there. Like it's crazy. Right. There's people screaming and shit. And then I was like at the bottom level, like the next level down. And the whole critical
I was about to say, like, you just wake up for the first time. They're like, yo, where the fuck did you get that bike from, motherfucker? You're like, yo. No,
I just remember seeing loved ones, honestly, and talking to them and, like, being on Dilaudid and just trying to, like, numb myself because I was in so much pain. But, and I don't know. It's just kind of crazy that whole journey with, as far as, like, the lawsuit and everything goes. Because they tried to, like, at first it was, like, they tried to say it was my fault. But I think, it's because, like, they thought I was going to die. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just try to put myself in people's shoes. Like, I don't know if my wife hit somebody and on accident and they died and she was like facing manslaughter charges, I'd be like, I don't want you going to prison. Yeah. I'm not that. This is just an assumption. I don't know. This is like the idea I created in my mind. I'm not saying this is what happened, but then like the story changed though. Like once I was in ICU and stuff, like it all was like, oh wait, no, I ran that light, So it like worked in my favor. But at first I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Y'all blaming me for stealing a motorcycle, saying I ran a light, which I know I didn't.
Yeah.
I was actually going the speed limit for once, but it all ended up turning around. But anyways, that doesn't,
Yeah, the ironic part is if you would have been speeding, you would have gotten through the light.
Right.
That's the ironic part.
It's just, and it's kind of crazy because we hit exactly corner to corner.
So what if you would have been going 5 more miles per hour faster? Maybe they would have caught the tail, but...
Or maybe I would have been right. So that's crazy. You think about that stuff.
True,
like,
that is true.
Like, if it would have been a little slower, I would have hit in the side maybe. Boom. Just launched down the road. But the way we hit forced me to, like, slam into the side of her car, go on the windshield, and then fly.
Like the way that you hit her car, I almost kind of protected you in a way.
Yeah, I flew 90 feet, but I just landed in a field.
Yeah.
And a lot of that initial force was into the car instead of into the ground.
And my bike went 100 feet down the road underneath another car. Mm-hmm. Say, the way I look at it is maybe I was going a little faster and got right in front. Boom, I could end up underneath another car, which probably been a lot worse than landing in the field. So it's just, you put together these little scenarios and imagine like, damn, it could have been like, it was bad, but it could have been so much worse. So
everything happens for a reason.
It was fate. Oh yeah. That was meant to happen. I'll tell people that all the time. Like, whether it was there or somewhere else, like I don't know, just like that was fated. And
if I wouldn't have hit his helmet first, like it probably would have definitely killed me because it would have snapped my neck.
Yeah, that's crazy too. That's what she was mentioning. Well, she mentioned that earlier.
Oh, fuck, dude, I lose track sometimes, Logan. Jesus.
In a couple episodes ago, I said something to Chance about how she went to rehab, and Joe was like looked at me like, "Why would you say that?" And I was like, "She told us that a minute ago." Mm-hmm. And Chance looked at him like, "Yeah, I said that a minute ago." And Joe was like, "Oh fuck." Dude. But yeah, so I was gonna say something about that actually because it's weird, like drunk drivers. Mm-hmm. That happens with them too. Like really bad drunk driving accidents. A lot of times they'll kill the people in the other car and they don't have a scratch on them.
Yep.
And they'll say it's because they're so drunk that their
body doesn't.
It's so relaxed. Yeah. But it's almost like almost hard to believe that. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, in my head, but it's almost hard to believe that your body would be that relaxed if you unless you just didn't see it coming. Plus, you were drunk. Maybe that's the thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But it's fucked though. Honestly, obviously that person's the person that deserves to die in that scenario. If nobody deserves to die, but I'm saying
Logan wishing.
But I'm saying the drunk driver who hit the family of four definitely deserves to die before the family of four.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
At the end of the day, though, like hit and run's pretty shitty. Like just own it. I would never like if I ran over somebody, God forbid.
Sure
Man, I'd fucking own it. Like because I've been there. Like
I'm sure they panicked though. I mean,
but I don't know. There's right and wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%. It's not right. I'm not saying it's right. That's for sure.
The girl who caused this accident, like she was a Vanderbilt student. She was young.
I'm telling you, she freaked out.
And she had 2 guys with her.
She's probably been drinking.
Driving daddy's car.
Yikes.
Damn.
Yikes.
That's crazy. She was young. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the lady hit me. She was. I mean, what's crazy is though, like I've had lunch with her since.
Did you really?
Yeah, I've had lunch with her and her husband. Like
I've never heard this before.
Yeah, they're really good people. I mean, she's just like you could feel the remorse and like she felt so terrible. I remember just like going through it all and like. Then she has a son that's like close to my age, rides motorcycles. He's in the military, and I'm ex-military, riding motorcycle. Like so, she has a son that's close to my age, motorcycle rider, and a military guy. And so I think it really hit the home, you know, and like I could just see in her eyes like how much pain she felt for like all that. And she was just so sorry. And, at the end of the day, it was a fucking accident, you know, like, I mean, God forbid, like people, I've run red lights before. I know I have. Right. Maybe I've been tired driving on a long journey or I've just like tried to get a little, push it a little like, oh man, I can make it. But so I'd be a hypocrite to be fucking mad. But she just so happened to be coming up on a motorcycle when she just happened to be
heard that day. Yeah, that's crazy.
So
was that the first time that you had spoken to her, seen her since then?
Yeah, I think after lawsuit stuff, I was just like we connected. I reached out, and kind
of like I had to do my thing, but still.
Yeah, you have to get through all the legal shit. You can't just be hanging out because then it kind of fucks everything up, makes things take longer. But after all that, though, and we're cool, and so. I don't know. I think it's kind of neat.
That's wild. So where were we at with you? Sorry.
Oh, Lord. I don't know.
We were talking about that.
On the roller coaster, just going in circles.
We were on the wreck.
So after the wreck, you said it took you, you recovered, you went back to work, started crushing it.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. They said you wouldn't be able to go back to the bank, and you did, and you became
And I got back on a bike again.
Nice. Are you riding today?
I don't own a bike, but I still ride.
Yeah.
Like if somebody lets me. And the best part was because you were talking about like parents and being worried. And when I first bought my motorcycle, my mom and dad were like, you're going to die on that thing. It's going to kill you. I was like, well, when it's my time to go, it'll be my time regardless of what I'm doing.
Well, don't say that.
But they said that like when I first bought the bike. So let me tell you, when this accident happened and I lived, I said, see, I told you. And they're like, stop.
You all said it. Y'all put it in the universe.
I was like, I told you if it's not my time to go, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Ain't that a fact? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's, it just goes to show you that you just got like I don't know. You've had an amazing journey since then, and I think, like you said, we both said it's meant to be. That was meant to happen. And how did that change you? How did you? I guess once you got past to the point where you could start remember things and working, like how was your mental state? Like, did you handle it pretty well, or were you just like, did you go through like a pretty rough depression area, or whatever?
The first 30 days after leaving the hospital was really hard because I had short-term memory loss.
Yeah.
So, but once I got through that, because like we could literally be sitting here doing something. If Logan was to snap his finger and I did that, I would do this and come back and I'd forget everything. So I had to deal with that for like a month. Like that was so hard.
I don't think it's from my wreck, but I still do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just,
I think it's just ADHD or something. I don't know. But no, that sucks though.
But
that does suck though. Yeah, sorry about that.
I bring humor to everything. I just
Well, you could tell that the ADHD is there because that's why he just felt the need to say that.
Yes,
he jumps in there and he's like, I don't know if
whatever, Logan.
But no, what it really did is that I've always been a happy person, but it made me start looking at things about, is it worth it? Is it worth my time? Is it worth my energy? Is it worth my emotion? Like I had just gotten my Monte Carlo.
Like just different scenarios in life?
Different scenarios. Like I had just gotten my Monte Carlo painted at I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 months after that accident, all black. And somebody pulled their bike up to park next to it and they were parked on a hill and they left their bike in neutral. So it fell over on my car that was recently painted, and everybody around there was like, "Oh, Sabrina's about to snap the fuck off," right? And I was like, "Oh well." They're like, "What?" Like, and I'm again, and that's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, every day is your day. Every day is your day. You know, write your story, make it the best you want to be, because technically, 5 seconds from now we may not be here. And
all we have is now.
Exactly. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, everything that happens to me, or that is said to me, or how I respond, everything that I'm going to do is going to be with a response and reaction that's going to benefit me.
Yep.
And that's going to make my life the best.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's beautiful, because like the past is the past. The past happened. The future isn't guaranteed. All you have is the moment you're in. Mm-hmm. And that's just a fact, you know, like God forbid, like a nuke goes off right there, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? But that could happen, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like life is just so unpredictable. And so
it's so wild to like always sit here and listen. I mean, obviously I know your story very well, but a lot of times we're sitting with somebody who's been through something like that, like Charles head on with a semi truck.
Yeah.
Like just so many different stories. And I try to like really think like, I try to like soak in as much of the gratitude that you guys put out, because I haven't been through that. Mm-hmm. So I'm like trying desperately, whenever I hear that from somebody from my perspective, I'm like just super grateful that I haven't had to go through something like that. But just to hear story after story of people that have gone through that's like fucking wild.
Yeah. Well, and it just makes you, I don't know, it makes you so much hungrier for life and experience. And like, you know, I used to get into like my ex and stuff about like, you know, I need to do this and try this and that. And like, why don't you just wait? Why don't you just wait? Wait on this, wait on that. And I'm like, you saw what I went through. Like, why?
So were you like that before your wreck, by the way? Like,
no, I was
super urgent on the day and the moment.
I think so. For the most part, I think that's always kind of been a part of me. Like, I want experience. I love life, and I just got to experience. I don't believe in retirement and shit, because that's not guaranteed. And who knows if you're going to make it that long anyways. And it's just like, I just want to experience life. And I, you know, obviously you can't be just reckless, you know, especially if you got like children or anything like that. Like, you got to account for other things, but also if you can like do it, like go for it. And, but it was just always this wait. And it was like, do you understand that like my mind just does not work that way, especially now. And like, you get it. Like once you go through something like that, and it's not to knock anybody that hasn't, but I'll tell you what, like near death shit or like actual death shit re-gears your mind in such a way that like, it's almost like you can't really, other people can't comprehend it in a way. And it's nothing against them, like, cause you don't want to wish these things on others, but that's what,
that's exactly what I'm saying.
But that's part of the brand, Relentless Pursuit. It's just like, how do I help people attain that mindset and understand it on a different level? You're like, maybe they had an experience with it, which is good, but how can I make them kind of like want to grasp life? You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a great way to put it.
I try to advocate to my clients, right? And potential clients that are like, oh, I don't have the money right now, or not right now. And I'm like, tomorrow's not going to be here. You know, if you don't take care of yourself right now, where are you going to be in 6 months from now?
And your health is like the most valuable thing you have, you know? And I remember I tell people all this all the time, when I was in the wreck and I got out of the hospital, you know, I was in ICU. I remember surgeons saying like, dude, if you weren't in the shape you're in, you'd probably be dead for sure. Like, cause it's crazy that you even survive. Like an aortic aneurysm, like, especially in an accident like that, is like almost like you always death.
It's
you
like
know?
your heart is strong. Your organs were strong, like to be able to fight that trauma.
Yeah. And I just was like, you know, I was built for it in a way, you know? And it's just like, it's just kind of crazy to think about. And that's a testimony to clients. Like, you know, your health can like save you in so many ways, not just, you know.
I think that's a really awesome way to put your brand though. Like, I mean, I know that already, but just even again, hearing it that way, like you're basically trying to install that mindset without.
That's why I started it.
Without having somebody or without someone having to have gone through it.
Yeah. Because I want to help people.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that's an awesome pursuit. Cause like, that's what I'm basically saying is like just me sitting here listening to this. And of course I'm in here with all the conversations, but that's basically what I'm talking about. It's like, I feel like I'm just trying, that's what I'm trying to do is like, just put it in like, just hear the words from the people who have actually been through a situation like that. So I think that's an awesome thing to try to get out generally.
Appreciate it.
And then also my motorcycle wreck is what led me into fitness.
Of course.
Because it was so crazy.
Do you have to do a lot of PT or anything? Or like you said, mostly it was the brain stuff though.
Yeah, it was the brain stuff and relearning how to walk. But again, I don't really remember much of that either.
Of course.
But you know, I was invited to do, it was called a MAD battle for my high school. It was like a majorette and drummer battle because I was a majorette in high school. And I was like, oh, but I had this accident, my head, because my equilibrium was off for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I remember a friend from high school was like, this is more the reason you should do it. And I did it. And it was hard because, you're dancing, you're throwing your head around.
Of course.
But I did it and we won.
Hell yeah.
But, and then I remember I paid off my car and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take that money and I'm going to pay for a personal trainer. And I started my fitness. And because again, I've struggled, and even starting it then, it was still a roller coaster of up and down because it was like too much working out, not enough food, and this and that.
It's a process.
It is. I finally feel like I found the key to unlock the universe because I understand it all now, and I can eat whatever the hell I want for the most part.
Yeah.
And still keep losing weight.
Hell yeah. Flexible dieting.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not even a diet.
Well, just just paying attention, being aware, but still enjoying stuff. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, but again, just me getting to that point of, and that's why I love working with people too, is tell me why you don't want to do it because I can tell you why you should. Yeah. I will overcome any objection that is ever given to me because I've literally had to live it myself.
Hey, right there. Yeah. I feel you.
So
yeah, that's beautiful. And like, you can be a prime example. Like, hey, this is what I've been through. This is where I'm at now. Mm-hmm. Like, analyze that. Like, and anybody can overcome it. I think, that unfortunately a lot of people lack patience when it comes to the journey because it's just like, one, you get a client, I get a client, I'm not throwing them into like a cookie cutter bodybuilder diet because that works for bodybuilders because they got this like purpose, I'll eat chicken and rice every day because I have to, because I got to get on the stage.
Right.
But for normal people, that's super unattractive.
Right.
And it's just very unrealistic. So, you help them create better habits. And it's just this time journey. If they understand that and they can have the vision, but a lot of people lack that long-term vision, but it's not going to happen overnight. And like I constantly tell people, it's just like, just trust the process, trust the process. It's going to be things we got to tweak here, things we got to tweak there. Like your body and the way you react is different than this person standing right next to you. Like you got to understand that. But yeah.
And they already have their reasons set up in their head why it won't work.
Of course.
Like I had somebody ask me last night, they're like, well, have you ever worked with anybody who has back problems? I said, I had back surgery in 2020 and they took out part of my back and I'm here now. So let's talk about it.
I've worked with myself.
That part,
So that's really cool. And that's the cool thing because you've been through what you have. It just gives you so much more credibility in what you do, so just experience. Hell yeah. I love it. But the high mindset thing, I think it's huge and I think it's a beautiful thing. And it's just, I don't know. It's something I think about all the time and it's hard. I don't run into people that often that have experienced something like really on the same page. So you just get it.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about when I say it. I don't really got to explain it, but it's how do we help others? Because I want to help people just be the best they can in the moment they got. And, because it's not promised.
Yep.
So
and it's like what the mind believes, the body will follow.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and again, we live in a society of Amazon Prime. I want everything right now and easy.
Yeah.
And I want it overnight. And, it's just.
I definitely do Amazon Prime.
I do too.
I'm not walking into Walmart.
I'm known as the Amazon queen. So everybody's like, Sabrina, how do I get this? I'm like, right here. What about my fitness? Well, we need some months. We're going to do this.
Yeah, right. That takes some time.
I tell people, they're like, but I want it quick. I was like, I can get it to you quick, but you're going to lose it just as fast as you got it.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing is.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Is if you get the sustainability.
Yeah, I think that it's that way with like a lot of things like business as well. Like if a lot of people like get it all in the beginning, they don't know how to sustain it because all they know is like that first success is like that's not how it usually is. So when you go months without anything, do you know how to handle that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've always said this ever since I was younger and even started in like the adult, world of having to have a job, starting in the banking industry. I wanted to be at the bottom of the ladder and walk up every single step. And my whole reason was and earn it because one, I didn't have a college degree. So I had to earn it. But also, too, if I had people I worked with that needed help in different positions, I wanted to be able to help them. But also, if I ever got kicked back down or fell back down a few steps, I would be comfortable and know that I was there and I could get back up.
And then when you get to a certain level, you can always look back on that and be like, man, I appreciate every step of the way.
Yep.
Instead of it just being given right to you from the beginning,
Yeah. I started the, clothes and I was in the house and then I opened this and it's just like, I feel like, I got the building, but it's still like low on the ladder because there's so many battles in order to get this where I want it to be. But it's just like, I want that. You know, I kind of, I'm glad for it. So I totally get that.
So you were, I was just going to say, so you were talking about how you found training, and we've talked about a lot about where you are now. Mm-hmm. What was that last bridge from when you started, like you hired a personal trainer to becoming a coach?
Well, I'm curious, and I don't want to interrupt because I know we're going to get to that, because there's a couple other steps ahead that I wanted to touch on real quick. Well, how old were you when you had your wreck too? You said like 27, 28?
25.
25? Okay, cool. So is there anything you want to touch on about the accident? Specifically? Or you just shared it? Or you're
no,
good?
I'm saying finding the light in it because apparently you probably know this, it's very rare that you have somebody like myself that had the brain injuries that I did that has zero residuals from it.
Yeah.
So I work with Vanderbilt and other universities across the United States now, and they do brain studies on me.
So I got suggested that because...
That's great, like because of like how your
they're
brain
trying
rebounded?
they're trying to figure out
That's really cool.
how it happened. And I always tell all them...
That's fucking awesome, actually.
Yeah, so...
You're like a mutant. You have like superhuman
brain. The superhero.
Superhuman brain. But you know what's funny? In all those shows and stuff, they say we can't let anybody know about our powers because they'll do experiments on us and stuff. And it's like, maybe that's not too far off.
They would.
You better watch out.
Uh-oh. You know, like the government comes in. You're like, Mrs. Fisher. But that's pretty cool, though. I know I was going through therapy and, like, you know, I did some, like, mind tests because I had a minor TBI when I had my wreck. You know, it takes a while. So, like, I remember the therapist had suggested possibly end up having to go to Vanderbilt for that and, like, get things checked out. But I think, you know, I did some studies. I did some thing with this doctor for, like, I swear it was like 4 hours. And he just asked me questions, and I drew circles and all kinds of shit. It was long, but it was actually pretty interesting. But he was able to just really gain an understanding of, like, you know, my brain activity and everything. Yeah. He'd been doing it for a long time, and I'm mostly good. So they didn't need to see the need to send me to this, like,
perfectly symmetrical.
Yeah. But like I said, mine was pretty minor, so should be good to go. I don't know if I should be like bare knuckle boxing or whatever, but whatever. Life's good.
I'd say that doctor would have a heart attack if he knew what you were doing with your brain right now.
Hell yeah. Thanks, doc. So motorcycle wreck, seeing the light in it, because there's always light in everything. And it's all necessary. So after that, you know, weight loss journey, marriage. I know you were married, and, like, you know, that was a pretty rough thing. Like, you want to touch on that a little bit?
I married my best friend, and
your best friend at the time?
At the time, okay. Yeah, we had been best friends for a long time.
Definitely not best friends now.
Nope.
Okay, all right, just make sure.
But we were both really young.
Yeah.
And growing up in a marriage, we grew apart, and one of us grew faster than the other. And I went through, like, a lot of emotional and mental abuse through it. It was never physical, but just verbal abuse is a very real thing, and it's one of those things that once you get into it, you don't realize it's happening.
Ooh.
Because you're getting it from a person you care so much about, you justify their actions.
Was it, like, verbal, like, intentionally, like, mean, or was it, like, this, like, deep-seated, like, abusive verbally through, like... I don't know. People can be verbally abusive in a tactical way.
It was very tactical.
Yeah, without telling them, hey, you're a fucking idiot. I hate you. No, like, that's verbal abuse, but, like, in a very, like...
Yeah, no. It was a lot of gaslighting, like, because...
Explain what that is.
Where it's like... it would never be asked anything, and it would never be said directly, but, well, if this would have been done this way, then this wouldn't have happened type thing. And...
Give me flashbacks.
And not even the abuse, but it would be something like, if I would be like, well, I'm really thirsty right now. A glass of water would sure sound good. Instead of going, would you mind getting me a glass of water? It's that. It was the work around the verbiage of how things would be done.
Or like when you're like, oh, man, you know, I feel this way. Like, I kind of feel this, you know, trying to communicate like, hey, this makes me feel this way. Mm-hmm. Oh, it sounds like you're like, that's on you.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, trust me, give me flashbacks because that shit's real. And that fucking shit, when it's done that way, it creeps itself in so deeply that it keeps you attached because it's almost like you're unaware, but something feels wrong the entire time.
And I'm a person that I want to see and I believe in the best in everybody.
Yeah.
Like I was 8 months pregnant and I think I gained maybe 35 pounds during my whole pregnancy, and I was told I needed to be in the gym. And that, you know, he wasn't physically attracted to me because I was big, but I was pregnant.
God forbid you doing like the most beautiful thing there is.
Well, then afterwards I had postpartum and he told me I was making it up. It wasn't real.
Yikes.
You know, yeah. But you got like, meantime, you got like, especially older generations that are like, say depression's fake, yet they're like, oh, that's fake, but they're miserable as shit.
Yeah.
You know?
The ones that,
but it's not a real thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's people with that kind of mindset is really ridiculous.
And to tie motorcycles in with the marriage and a child. So of course, after I had a child, I didn't want to ride. Like, right? If anybody knows that how quick your life can be taken from you, it's me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ready to ride again. And he was like, well, the woman I married rode. Okay, well, the woman you married wasn't a mother at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and I told him, I was like, you know, I'm not saying I'll never ride again. I want my child to remember me.
Yeah.
I want to be a mother. I just not right now. And he kept telling me, he's like, well, the woman I married rode. And if you're not going to ride, I don't know if we should be married. And I told him, I said, if that's your,
That's wild.
I said, you can drop the divorce papers, you know, which he didn't. He did a lot of talking and would create arguments just to have an excuse to go out and leave.
Mm-hmm.
But
Riding motorcycles, it doesn't define who you are either.
No.
You know, like you're still the same person.
Well,
I'm still a badass.
Seems like it defined one of them.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. But I mean, a lot of, you know, but that being said, a lot of people find their identity in material things. Like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, I am this. Like, I am a motorcycle rider. That is me. And it's like, well, what do you, say you take the motorcycle away, who are you? And they're like, what?
Right.
You know?
And I always say that, like, I'm definitely not that person. I always say that when I'm not here anymore, like, I want to be remembered for my legacy.
Yes.
Like, if anybody remembers me for anything, it'll definitely be my smile in my heart, and I know that.
Yeah.
But I want for even 10 years after I'm gone that somebody remembers their life being impacted by me and who I was as a person.
You know what's really cool about a podcast is this is a legacy thing. Because once this is dropped, it's out there forever. And like 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, people can uncover it and be like, man, this girl's got an amazing story. And like, that's what one of the main things I love is like all these people here that come on, they don't really think about that. And they're like, man, but your story can impact somebody way past your time here. And that's pretty neat.
I'm nerd out about the content stuff, but I will say on the back of that is that how many people like, obviously we all have parents of some kind, you know, right? Everybody has parents, but not a lot of people have parents that had like shows.
Yeah.
But now, like, how many people have we had on the pod, including obviously yourself, that, you know, children are going to be able to like go watch hours and hours and hours and hours of your show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
My grandchildren are going to be watching this and they're going to be like, dude, one, grandpa was a stud.
Oh, man.
Two, he was jacked. Wait, sorry. No, but they're going to be like, man, my grandpa was like doing some really cool shit with his time here, you know? And like, I think about that stuff.
I love doing vlogs, and I haven't done them in a long time, but I used to have a YouTube channel, and one of my favorite things that I did that I miss is vlogging, and because I would make a film out of, you know, a football game or a holiday or whatever, and like now, just a few years later, you know, it was only 2-3 years ago that I made some of those, but I look back on them with just like such a feeling of fondness, you know, it's like I created I created that. It's not just a memory. I can just watch that whenever I want, and it takes me right back to where I was. You know, it's like it's really, really awesome. So.
Dude, he did a dialogue video of me a while back telling my accident story, and it's all dramatic and shit because it's got the music and stuff, and like I'm doing things. And like I watched it. I never watched it for a long time, and then finally I watched it like a few times in a row, and like I bawled my eyes out.
For
and
real?
it's weird because I tell my story over and over again, and it's almost easy. But like when I first watched it, dude, I was in tears so bad because I could like. It's weird, like hearing myself say it too. You know, I don't know. It's just like hit me so differently.
It's awesome.
I completely understand that because I can sit here and talk to you about my whole journey in my life, and I won't cry over it. But you know, I have clients that come in now. We'll be on a call, and I will hear them talk about what they're going through and how they have felt as a woman, and me having to speak back to them to relate to them. That's when my emotion gets pulled.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm like, I'm you. You are me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's different. And again, throughout my life, I realized, I was telling somebody the other day, I have one of the biggest hearts that I know, right? I'm caring, I'm giving, but I can also have one of the coldest hearts too.
Yeah.
And it's a defense mechanism, right?
I hear you on that one.
It's trauma bound.
Yeah.
So once I feel pain or hurt, I'm still going to smile, but you're not going to hurt me.
Yeah.
So
You're going to keep it at a distance.
Yeah, mine, if I feel threatened, I get real weird. Real weird.
Yeah, get my switchblade. What about now? Logan just like throws the mic, starts kicking cameras.
That's really good to hear though from you. I'm glad that that makes me feel good.
Yeah. And I mean, that reminds me because I was going to say something on that. Do you have like, you said you handle it pretty well, and as do I. It's like obviously something I think about every day. But on that date, do you have like a tough day?
I don't actually.
Really? Because I know for me that like I had my anniversary October 18th, right? So for some reason, the night before, we were watching some show, and this guy's getting rushed to the hospital. And he's like, it's all like blurred vision, like this ICU thing. And it's like the doctors are like, hey, talking, like, we got to keep him alive. And it's like, I kind of like remember, he got shot, but it was like, I remember something like that. And I'm like,
what terrible timing.
Watching it. And then the next day, like the day of the wreck, I didn't get shit done. I was in my fucking head, and like my anxiety just was through the roof. I had a terrible day. I just sat here really most of the day, and I tried to get work done, and then I just started thinking, and it was fucking rough. And I got home, and Lydia was just like, here, she poured me a fat glass of wine. I don't drink during the week anymore, but I needed a fucking drink. And I felt good, and we chilled. But then the next day, I was perfectly fine. I like came in, I got so much shit done. But yeah, for some reason that day, like, just hits me different.
It's
weird.
a reflection for me to go, God, look at what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But it's different for me because I don't remember it.
Seeing the next day,
I don't remember any of it.
That is totally different.
True.
So
you would have different.
It's still mind blowing to me that I have like 3, maybe 2 or 3 second snippet memories of when I was in the hospital, but like they're really like 2 seconds.
You said you don't remember, like when you put the helmet on and then nothing after, and even like a month after that, you said you didn't remember.
So for at least a month, I remember opening my eyes and seeing like being in a hospital room, but I was alone.
Yeah.
And I remember starting to cry. That's all I remember. And then I remember 2 of my friends sitting on the couch. I remember opening my eyes and seeing them. And then I remember being like on a walker with like, I remember the nurse's station. But like I said, these memories
just like
are
little pictures, like snapshots.
Literally. And and then I remember, like when I say walking out of the hospital, I mean like I remember seeing the doors.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like
Like
they're
little
literally
pictures.
like flashcards.
That's how a lot of my memories growing up are like that.
That's interesting. It's yeah, I'm pretty bad. Like I've always had like kind of not the best memory, but for some reason, so that's probably why it's like just affected me differently, because like I just go back to the whole scene and it just plays over and over, and I can remember every step. I can remember asking, asking the flight nurses, because they had life flight me, like, hey, am I going to die? And then being like, we're going to try to keep that from happening. And I remember like the thoughts I had of like my family and stuff when I'm on like the helicopter, and it's just like so real, and like how like terrifying it was that like, man, I may not see them ever again, and it's just like, fuck. And it just, so I think that's where, I guess it's just, there's the difference on the anniversary date. It's just like, fuck, it's so vivid. So I guess it's kind of benefits you that you don't have to think about that. But, it's still crazy as shit, because on the opposite end, you don't remember any of it, which is also pretty wild. I don't know, because I can imagine like a point in my life for like a month where it's just like a blank.
Yeah, because I was only in a coma for maybe a day or 2, but I was in the hospital for over a month, and apparently I was not a pleasant person either.
Oh, really?
I can imagine. I mean,
well, they said that you can tell somebody's true independency when they are not able to do for themselves because they get angry, because they have to rely on other people.
Yeah.
And trust me, the stories that I heard of me being in there, it's no. I'm like, what? No. They said they came in there one time and I was laying on the floor, and they were like, what are you doing? And they're like, I had to pee. I'm trying to go to the bathroom. They're like, you can't walk.
Yeah.
So they had to tie me to the bed because my stubborn ass would still try to get up and walk.
Yeah. See, and you talk about the dependency thing, and that was really rough for me because both my legs were broken. I literally couldn't walk, Right. My legs were broken. Everything was broken from my waist down. Mm-hmm. And I always I've told this story several times, but it's like I just remember this scene where I'm like in the bed and like I had to like take a shit in a pan, Right. And it's just like my dad's like holding me on my side because I couldn't even roll over on my own because I just couldn't control my body.
Right.
I got like my mom wiping me and shit. And it's just like, I remember just bawling. I was just crying. I was like, felt so humiliated.
It'll
like,
humble the fuck out of you.
Oh yeah. It's just like, holy shit. Like I need people, but it also like those moments right there, like just also emphasize gratitude and like, God, I love the people around me. I'm so grateful for them. It just makes you so much more grateful for those people because like they'll wipe your ass when you need it.
Right.
And you don't, sometimes you think.
I've been there.
Yeah. Imagine you push everybody away and you're not grateful for anybody. And then you go in an instance like that and you don't have anybody there to wipe your ass when you need it because you've pushed them all away.
Yep.
And then it's just like, shit, you never know. Everybody might need that at some point, God forbid. But I don't know. It's just one of those things.
By the way, we're
pretty intense.
An hour and 40 minutes.
Fuck. Okay, shit. Well, all right. God, we got so much to touch on still. We might have to do this again. But we still got a little time. So are you in a hurry?
Mm-mm.
All right. So let's touch on, you talked about your verbal, the verbal abuse and all that. Moving forward, your weight loss, I want to touch on these things. Your weight loss journey. Mm-hmm. You had a back surgery and becoming a trainer.
Yep. So during my marriage, throughout, the body shaming and everything else, I got on amphetamine, diet pills. I wasn't eating. It made me miserable. My mood was bad. Then I got the divorce, of course. And after that, I took a year to myself to try to heal.
Yeah.
Emotionally, mentally, physically, everything. And I told myself in that year I wanted to work out on my own by myself, like without a trainer, because I was like, if I can figure out how to do it on my own, then I don't have to rely on anybody else.
Yeah.
So, I bought like this little program. I did a show prep diet preparing for Miami. That was one of the worst things I probably could have ever done because I ended up gaining like 15 pounds when I come back.
Yeah, that's what happens.
But, and then in December last year, well, it was probably like August or September, I had tried to apply to be in like the Lose the Gut, Keep the Butt program with Antonio.
Okay.
And I didn't get accepted. And I was like, well, it's not meant to go.
Screw you, Antonio.
So I just kept going.
Can't believe you, Antonio.
Antonio, what is your deal, dude?
Jesus.
What is your deal?
Jerk.
So then in December, he said, hey, I'm launching another one if you want to apply. And I thought to myself, I said, because you have to fill out an application, answer questions.
That's pretty interesting. He makes you do that.
Well, we make sure it's a good fit.
Yeah, like most people, they're just like, if we can just get some people in, like they're just trying to.
And I was thinking to myself, I was like, I need to change the answers.
Yeah.
I'm like, because obviously they didn't pick me the first time. And then, but here's the thing about me is I can't lie.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm such an honest person. It's like, it's either I'm me.
Yep.
Like I'm not going to change. So I was like, I really thought about changing the answers. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to. And I remember getting an email going, I'm in. I was like, oh, yay.
Hell yeah.
And January 3rd, I started the challenge with him.
This year.
Mm-hmm.
2022.
Yep, 2022.
This year of all over 2022. Gotcha. All right.
And I had remarkable changes, like mentally, emotionally, physically.
Of course.
In 2 weeks. And I was like, and I won the challenge. And it wasn't because of results. It's because of participation, because engagement and being there for others. That's key in a journey like this. But so I stayed with him for a few months. And I remember at one point, he asked me, he's like, what's your aspirations? And I was like, I don't know. My whole life, I
never really thought about that.
Well, I used to. I used to be so strategic and have a plan and like a 5-year plan. But my marriage really derailed everything with me. And I had used that year before to, or the years before to like heal and just be happy again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've not thought about that because I've just been living life. And so I really thought about it. And the few months that I had been working with him, I had heard the words motivating and inspirational more than I had ever heard in my entire life. Just friends, family, people who didn't know me saying that I motivated them, that I inspired them. And I really thought about it. And I had a talk with him. I was like, I want to be a coach. I want to be a trainer. I want to help people. I want to do for other people what I've never had done to me, for me until I met him, And he said, I've been waiting on you. He said, I've seen it in you all along, but I've just been waiting on you.
Yeah.
And in June.
Antonio said that?
Mm-hmm.
What a sweet guy.
When he wants to be. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, there's also the thing, too, is like, man, I'll tell you what, maybe it would have been different. He had said, hey, I think you should do this.
I asked him, I said, why didn't you say something? He said, because I wanted you to do it for you and you alone.
Yes.
Not me.
Find it in your own time.
I mean, and because I'm telling you, the day I told him, he was like, I've been waiting on it.
And again, to reiterate to the audience, this is Antonio Ingram from episode whichever, I don't remember which one it was, but a couple episodes ago, Antonio Ingram, Antonio, that's the same person. Continue.
Episode 17.
She remembers.
I'm assistant. I got to keep up with these things.
Good point.
Very nice. Very nice.
Good point. Also,
TBI, get away from me. I have good memory.
Did he post his clips? Has he posted his clips, Antonio?
He shared when y'all posted it.
Oh, we need to get him on that then. If you're the assistant, you're the person I need to talk to.
We'll get there.
But
Joe's like, stop burning bridges. Shut up.
But like I said, he told me, he was like, I've just been waiting on you. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, because I needed you to do it for you and you alone.
That's the way.
And I became certified really quick because, again, a lot of this stuff I've lived. And by no means do I know everything. I don't think anybody will ever know everything.
No.
But and then in July we launched it that I was going to be his assistant coach.
And look at you guys now.
I know. And it's just amazing.
He was really excited whenever he was in here talking about you and the things you guys are doing. He was really pumped up about it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, he was actually really stoked for me to get you on here too. He was like, "Yes, dude, yeah." So
well, it's just amazing because, like I said, I have a full-time day job.
Yeah.
You know, I don't do this coaching because...
What do you do during the day?
I'm the executive assistant to the general counsel for mental health and substance abuse services for the state of Tennessee.
Let's go. Beautiful.
Again, I just like helping people.
That's amazing.
She loaded that up, dude. She was like...
She's like, oh, I've had this title.
She said, I am the executive.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's awesome.
So,
That is very awesome.
Again, I just love helping people and wherever I'm going to be.
So what do you do in that capacity?
So I assist the general counsel and the deputy counsel, but I also am a contracts analyst that builds contracts for like mental hospitals, recovery things, mental health
really
things.
Cool.
So anything that's like state and federally granted through the state, they have contracts.
Nice.
So all these places around, I'm sure y'all have heard of plenty of them.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the one that I mentioned. I think it's like Cedar Creek or something like that. I don't know.
Bad with names of anything. I'll have to Google it.
But yeah, so, but that's something that's, because again, I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
I don't have to be a coach.
But you love it.
I desire
And that
to
gives
be
you
a coach.
a different perspective on it too.
Yeah.
Going into it.
I told Antonio that I've never felt more in line and walking in my purpose more than I do now.
That's cool.
Because again, I always pray over my son at nighttime that, you know, he's a little world changer, one person at a time.
Yeah.
And what better way to, you know, build my son up to do that than to be that.
Be the example.
Yeah.
I think that's an awesome
Lead
goal
by
for you to
example.
have for your child that they change the world. Like,
Yeah.
but even that perspective of one person at a time, because that's how I believe that it's done. Right?
Yeah.
It's, the change is done at the individual level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can impact one person, then the ripple that has, they're going to impact their family and et cetera. So
Yeah, no, that's pretty badass. Hell yeah. Well, he's got a good example in front of him, and so I have no doubts he's going to be doing some killer stuff.
He'll be on the podcast in a few years.
Yeah, I'll be like, dude, tell us about your journey. Tell us about getting the door for your mom. You know, like
Tell us about your journey.
how's the past
How's
10
third
years
grade,
been?
brother?
Right.
That's funny, but well, that's awesome though. So like now we know you're a little becoming a trainer journey, and I think that's awesome. I didn't realize it was so recently.
Mm-hmm.
I'd imagined you had been training quite a bit longer, but
And that's one thing that that Antonio really lifts me with. That he's like, people wouldn't know that you're just starting. You know, like you have the experience. Oh, and I had a whole back surgery in December 2020. Sorry, you gave me that look, and I'm like, I know I forgot something. So we'll rewind and we'll come back to that.
no, you're good.
So after I had my son, I had and probably from the motorcycle accident, but I had a slip disc in my back that was touching a nerve. I went through physical therapy, steroid shots, everything, and even down to the point where sometimes I couldn't even pick up my son. Definitely couldn't work out like I wanted to. I mean, one day I want to say he was 5. I was trying to get him dressed, and I told him to stand up and just hold on to my shoulders, and he thought it would be fun to jump on my back. And I remember hearing something pop in my back. And after that, it was just miserable. And so December 2020, they took a disc out of my back and did a back fusion. And I have metal rods and everything. And the only physical therapy I did was for 3 months, and it was walking. That was it.
Just to get that.
Just to get that. And like I said, so 2021, I started back in the gym, just working out lightly, doing things. And then I got in that challenge.
And it worked.
And here
How's
I
your
am.
back now?
Amazing. You
good.
wouldn't even ever know.
Has Antonio and like that the stuff that you guys done, has it helped strengthen you to the point too with your back? Like, has that helped your back a lot with what you guys are doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember doing leg presses when I first started with him. Like, I would just use the plate, maybe 60 or 90 pounds. And I remember I was like, okay, I'm going to add weight. And there was another woman in there that works out. I was like, would you mind spotting me? Because I was terrified because of my back to do 180. And now I can leg press 450.
Look at you. And you're doing like barbell squats and shit, right? Mm-hmm. Look at you.
Yep.
See, we can all overcome
That's pretty
things.
impressive.
We're all capable.
Yep. I can't even remember what I was doing in the gym the other day, but I was going to hit a PR. And I remember thinking, what would I tell my clients? And I'm like, it's mind over matter, right? Like, and I kept going, you can do it if you want to do it. And sure enough, it was like leg press downs or something. And I did like 145, which was so funny because I had to put like all my weight on it to even bring it down.
Yeah.
But I still did it.
Oh, yeah.
So
You're breaking PRs. She's got a full day job, plus she's coaching.
Being a super mom.
yeah.
That's cool. Hell yeah. I mean, you got a pretty amazing journey, and I love it. And it sucks because we're, like kind of at the end of this, but I mean, we should definitely all get in here again soon, have you and Antonio, I don't know, just keep rolling with it.
Yeah.
I'd love to have you on as a guest again because, like, you got a pretty amazing story. You got a beautiful mindset just towards life and in general and just everything. And I just think it's really cool. So I'm so stoked that we had you on here, to be honest.
It's an honor to be on.
Hell yeah. This is really cool. And, whatever we can do to help get you out there and help, support you. And I'd be interested in also looking at like working with you guys or what you do at like the mental health for like a charity event or something like that. Cause I'm trying to keep that rolling. Last one went okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know. For some reason it's weird. Like it's hard to get people to like want to do charity stuff. I don't know why, but at the end of the day,
thousands of dollars raised.
Well, yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like, we're still going to keep doing the right thing, doing good work. So
that's what I'm saying. I think that's good work.
Hey.
All about perspective. Little Miss Sunshine over here. Yeah. How many dollars did you have for this at the beginning of the day?
That's what I'm saying.
And how many did you
That's
get
what I'm saying.
Exactly.
If I had like through an event like that, just trying to raise money, I really would be like super hype at like $1,000.
I know. I guess I'm one of those people though. I see
how
potential.
much more it can be.
It's like I almost get so frustrated. One of my biggest things is to like just seeing wasted potential in others, because I just imagine just like this. There's like this little Milky Way galaxy thing up there, just potential that was just disappeared, that people just, because everybody has so much potential within them. And then, but there's people every day, millions of people that just like let it go. And I'm just like, I think it's just a frustrating thing because I'm like, man, you're so capable. People are so capable of so much good shit.
I've learned the hard way through things in life that seeing the potential in somebody means nothing if they don't see it and believe it in themselves.
That's a fact.
100,000%.
So I used to let myself get to a point of feeling like I failed them because they didn't meet their full potential.
Yeah, but it's not on you.
I had to live through that because again, I'm a fixer. I'm a hard person that I just want to help everybody.
Yeah.
And that's why now, if I see the potential, that's great. It's not even my place to tell the person the potential.
Yep.
Like you can talk to me and I can, reassure you of your potential that I see in you.
Yeah.
Example like Antonio did for me, right? He saw the potential in me.
And he trusted that you would be like, hey, this is the next step for me.
Yep.
That's really cool. I love it. Well, I think we're going to come to a close.
Okay.
Because where are we at?
2 hours.
2 hours. Whew. Hell yeah. I love it. I mean, it's really cool though. I love having the conversation when it goes that long. That means, you're having some killer content and just really good conversation. So yeah, but we're going to move forward because we still got a whole day ahead of us and we'll have you on here again soon. But thank you so much, Miss Sabrina, for being on here. Is there anything you left out that you want to say for everybody out there?
Tell them where to find you and whatnot as well.
Yep. Again, guys, I am an online coach with AI Fitness, Facebook, Sabrina Fisher, TikTok and Instagram, Miss Woe 15.
Miss Woe 15.
MISSWHOA15. The guys here are doing amazing things. Joe and Logan, thank you all so for much. Everything.
Oh yeah.
If you hear this, go follow me on social media. Always support people around you, and wherever you're at in your journey right now, know that you're where you're supposed to be to get to where you're going to go.
Yes, ma'am. Love it. Thank you so much. And we will see you again. Everybody, thank you for coming. Please check out the Relentless Pursuit podcast on all platforms. Go like, share, subscribe, review, all the things. Get it out there. Help us grow. We're also have opportunities for sponsorships. So if you want to run an ad and promote your business through us, definitely reach out at Relentless Pursuit Lifestyle at gmail.com or through one of our social media platforms, or Relentless_Pursuit on Instagram, Relentless Pursuit _HQ as well. And, also check out Cinema 83 LLC, my boy Logan, for all your videography and production and all those needs you need for the tech shit. Because he's really good at it. But yeah, thank you.
See you next time.
Hell yeah. That was good, Sabrina.